Our country is undergoing seismic changes. There's widespread disillusion and a loss of a sense of belonging as society fragments. Whatever happens about Brexit, we need big new ideas to take us forward. But I don't see big ideas on TV now. Too many programmes are saying small or medium-sized things about society. Where do we go for big ideas? Books, TED Talks, podcasts, all really popular. On the news, I'm hearing every day that the very fabric of our democratic system is being ripped to shreds. But where is this crisis being analysed outside of the news? UK broadcasters are still making some great investigations, but where are the programmes which shake all our assumptions about society? So often I'm told that documentary formats now deal with these important subject matters. But to me, formats only describe society as it is. They don't provide a vision for change. If we are worried about becoming irrelevant, one of the best things we can do is to start making big controversial programmes about the UK which put us back at the heart of public debate as we used to be. We're all desperate for young audiences. Millions of young people are now politically aware and active. They're prepared to spend hours listening to extraordinarily serious podcasts, often authored by some pretty heavy-duty thinkers. They're searching for alternative ways of seeing the world and for answers to major issues like climate change and the viability of our current financial systems. A great TED Talk can get millions of views. We have to stop being afraid of serious analysis authored by big, brainy people. We have the ability and we have the airtime. Let's make some really clever and difficult programmes. We're obsessed by the fall in audiences for terrestrial TV and forever looking over our shoulders at Netflix and streaming services, hypnotised by their success. But terrestrial TV still counts for 69% of all TV viewing, according to the very recent Ofcom figures. That's 3 hours, 12 minutes a day, which is massive. And we have something else too, very high levels of trust. The latest Ofcom figures show that 71% of audiences think television news is accurate and trustworthy. Take advice from an older woman. I'm about the same age as ITV. When you're getting on a bit, reinvent yourself. I used to be a tall blonde woman. And think what you have that makes you special. In the case of terrestrial TV, we are the only people who have any interest in saying big things about Britain. That's not the role of Netflix or other streaming services, terrific as they are. I counted 29 different programmes on Netflix about drugs. I wonder if there's a drug cartel anywhere in the world that's not currently being filmed by a streaming service. There's also a plethora of programmes about serial killers. Now, programmes about mass murdering drug lords will contribute nothing to the reinvention of the UK's political landscape. But when we do major investigations here in Britain, like Channel 4 News' investigation alongside that of Carol Cadwallader into Cambridge Analytica, they gain huge traction. The public appetite is there. Now, painful as it is to admit it, Rupert Murdoch made a very good point in his MacTaggart back in 1989, the very period when I was working on World in Action. He said television was controlled by like-minded people who knew what was good for us and criticised TV for reflecting the values of a narrow elite. My vision of empowered and daring producers and commissioning editors who want to shape society for the better doesn't work if all those empowered people are just a bunch of posh boys. By what right do we showcase big ideas if we are such a small group? I looked at the two Directors' UK reports, which came out last year. Okay, the figures are not completely up to date, but only 2.2% of directors came from Black and ethnic minority groups, and fewer than 25% were women. That matters because we can't reflect society properly if we ourselves don't reflect society. When you change who's making TV, you change TV. I am proud that I was part of a group of women who changed current affairs by making regular programs about issues affecting women. The first program I produced and directed for World in Action was about rape in marriage, then not a crime. And two very senior journalists told me it wasn't a suitable subject for the program, and indeed, not even a story. They were right. It was more than a story. It was a scandal which besmirched our society. These women-focused programs rated well, but I could tell that quite a few of my colleagues didn't rate them very much at all. My reputation was nearly destroyed when Mary Whitehouse rang up to say how good one of my films had been. By great good fortune, I took the call. I'm ashamed to say I told her Dorothy Byrne was out, but I'd pass on the compliment. I never told my colleagues she'd rung. The lack of people from ethnic minorities then was appalling. At Granada, I was the union equality officer when ACTT asked us to do a survey of the number of Black people working there. I didn't need to do a survey. I personally knew all 5 Black people out of a workforce of 1,600. When I reported this back to the Joint Union Committee, one of the brothers said, "That's 5 too many." And another chipped in a la Trump that they should all go back home. Of course, I pointed out this almost certainly was their home. While that would never happen now, the lack of progress in increasing ethnic diversity in television is the single most disappointing failure during my career. I was asked quite recently by a Channel 4 manager what I thought of our diversity initiative. I replied, I honestly couldn't remember how it was any different to the last diversity initiative. In fact, was he absolutely sure it wasn't the last diversity initiative? Or maybe the one before? I've known so many. Not so long ago, I was sitting in a room of managers at Channel 4, and one asked why we thought we were not achieving more on ethnic diversity. Everyone looked puzzled and thoughtful, the way people in TV do when they're pretending to be deep and meaningful. Until I said, I don't know if any of you have noticed, but everyone in this room is white. Could that be connected? So Alex Mahon, Tony Hall, Caroline McCall and David Lynn, it's time to achieve real change.